Aaron Johnner here for Forever Football, your Doncaster Rovers content, and whew, that just gave me a bit of a scare at the end there. Jesus Christ. I think all of us are out breathless by the end. I think we have like mini heart attacks during those last few minutes. But there we go, we hung on in there. Lincoln City 0, Donny Rovers van. What a game. Yes, it was very smash and grab, but you know what? We tried to play the way we play. We tried to press, we absolutely pressed them, don't get me wrong. We tried pressing them, we cut them down, and we were, defensively, we were all over them. Attacking-wise, they were all over us, having loads of those chances. Not many, nearly all of them not on target, but they did have a couple of shots on target. Obviously, the penalties. Oh boy, I'll talk through why I was worried in a little bit. But what a performance. What a performance defensively by that team. Like I said, very smash and grab. We definitely hung on in there. We definitely had a sense of, okay, we're going to have to hang on here and try and put all our defensive instincts into this to make sure we get out with 3 points. It is the same scoreline from the Keep Moat games. We did the double over Lincoln, and I believe it's the first time we've won at Sinsel Bank in 36 years. I'm not sure if that's correct or not, but I mean, if it is, then fair play. I think it's 36 or 37 years, something like that. Someone's going to have to correct me, but I think it's something like 36 years since we won at Sinsel Bank. Wow. What a game. What a game. It was so exciting. Overall then, performance-wise, individually, there was some great performances in there. Special shout out, before we go into the defensive performances, let's talk about the attacking performances. Special shout outs go to Taylor Richards, first of all. Taylor Flaming Richards, that guy, that bloody guy, I swear, could attack the most defensively protected tank and he could still blow it up with one strike. Taylor Richards is absolutely clinical and critical to this team. He plays that cam role oh so brilliantly. And again, the goal. Yes, it was not the cleanest of strikes, but from 20 yards. That guy, like I said, that guy could shoot from 50 yards and blow up a steel-shated tank. You know, imagine a tank with the most protective armour in the world, in society, in the universe. Imagine that protectiveness around the tank. He'd still blow it up with a 50-yard strike. Taylor Richards is so clinical and so critical in terms of finding the target, and he can go for it oh so brilliantly. Special shout out to him. What a performance. For Jiriok Aberius in the first half, absolutely bossed that forward position. He was pressing, he was advanced, he was going for it, he was up for it. And I think even though he didn't get many chances, I think that Okunabiri overall, you know, in the first half was pressing, he was all over them, he was bossing that forward position. Second half faded away quite a bit, but in the first half he was bossing it. Matt Smith, playmaking really, really well. And then in the second half, Madja flipping Gomez. That's what we want to see from this guy. He didn't get a goal in his return today from injury, but Madja flaming Gomez was all over that Lincoln. All over Lincoln. They were literally, that each Lincoln player is going to go home, empty their pockets, and Madja Gomez is going to be, there's going to be clones of Madja Gomez inside everyone's pockets. Madja Gomez absolutely was all over them in that second half when he came on. Absolutely all over him. There was a few things though in this game that did concern me. Firstly, John and Wright. Now, don't get me wrong, Wright defensively got in the block a few times, did really well to block off some shots and some potential efforts and some potential threats. Cameron John had that attacking intent, could have been on goal a couple of times, good for him. But tracking back when you're getting caught up the pitch, that's something you're going to have to work on in my opinion. John and Wright, if they're going to work in full-back positions, if Butler and Anderson's going to be the partnership in the centre-back role for the rest of the season, if that's going to be it, and Wright and John are going to have to be full-backs for the rest of this season, along with James and Halliday, obviously, then they're going to have to learn to not get caught up the pitch. Have that defensive intent. Have that attacking intent. The turns that Joe Wright was doing, do you see the skillful turns he was doing? That was like Neymar-esque turns. but he needs to learn not to get caught up the pitch. Brad Halliday, I think he needs to make sure his first touch is absolutely spot on. There's a few times in that game where I thought his first touch was poor. But you know what? Again, he was attacking, he was getting up the pitch, he was trying to get in good areas, and overall didn't have a bad performance. Special shout-outs to Butler and Anderson. Good defensive performance again in the back line, but I've been saving up for this moment in this video. Ellery Balcombe, the goalkeeper, aka the next Seny Dieng. That's the best way I can describe this brother. The next Seny Dieng saves every single shot. Ellery Balcombe could save the flaming Titanic, for goodness sakes. Yes, that second penalty he conceded was, you know, that kind of filled me with dread. He saved the first penalty. I was like, yes, Ellery Balcombe saved the penalty. We're still in this. He gave away the second penalty. I'm like, oh no. No. He's a young player. He might not have experience. He's a young player. He's going to be doubted with that, conceding that penalty, and he's going to concede it. And I saw Scully, who, in my opinion, shouldn't have been dropped for this game. He should have started ahead of Rodgers. Rodgers didn't have a bad game, but I think that Scully should have started instead. And I think Lincoln fans, if you agree with me on that, comment down below. But in my opinion, Scully should have started. When he came up to take the second penalty after Jorge Grant, by the way, really played into... tried to get a free kick by diving before the contact was made. Yeah, nice try, pal. But as soon as Scully took up the second penalty, I was like, oh no. No, he's gonna come on and he's gonna steal our moment. Balcombe, I swear to God. There was a couple of moments of distribution where I'm like, okay, he needs to improve on that, but I'll tell you something now. Overall, to keep a clean sheet from that, my God, this guy. I think he's a former Arsenal youngster, and I think Arsenal would rather have him than Runnison right now. I think with Leno, I think he'd rather have Balcombe rather than Runnison. Rather than having Runnison and Leno, it should be Leno and Balcombe, you know, and I think Boreham Wood would be lucky to have had his development in the past few years. Balcombe has been an absolute asset to this team. Absolutely. We didn't get the debut of Scott Robertson, unfortunately. No new signings featuring today. Bostock needs to be fit. Sims needs to be fit. Bogle's tested positive for COVID, but he didn't interact with the squad, thank God. So he's self-isolating for the next 10 days. So hopefully he might feature against Oxford, maybe. But I really don't think that. I think it will be the next game after that. And obviously, you know, Robertson's on the bench, Simeo started, Balcombe started. So, out of those 6 signings, it was just Balcombe and Simeo's, which is the usual. But Sims, Bostock, Bogle, Robertson didn't feature off the bench. So, you know, the fact that we won without any of our signings, again, just proves how good this team is. And then when the new signings come in, it'll just be even better. The title of that, the title of the preview video was "A win would guarantee a title race." Do I think we're in a title race? Yeah. It's not even, are we in a title race? It's, when are we winning the title? Because let's face it, Hull got a 1-0 win against Swindon today. Good win for them, good 3 points, they're top of the league. We've got 2 games in hand on Lincoln. And I think we've got an extra, because we've got 2 games in hand on Lincoln, I think we've got a game in hand on Hull. We could go top of this league. We could go top by a good goal difference at least, but maybe 3 points over Lincoln if Hull lose their next game as well. We could be the hunted rather than a hunter. We could be top of the league in the next couple of games if we just get the victories needed against Oxford and against our next opponents, which I can't remember who they are. But on the basis of today, the defence was spot on, the attack did what they needed to, and overall, Lincoln will be kicking themselves because, let's face it, in the first half, Lincoln were all over us. The possession told the entire story. 71% possession to 29 in favour of Lincoln today. That is the possession stats. Lincoln were all over us in that first half attacking-wise, and we did make some sloppy giveaways, and we do need to learn from that. We do need to learn to stop giving the way poorly, especially in added time towards the end of the match. We're still 1-0. Lincoln is still pressing for an equaliser. And you know, they could have run onto that. There's a ball we could have run onto to get 2-0, and he let it run to the goalkeeper. He let it pass to the goalkeeper, and I'm like, sorry, do you not want to go ahead and get a second and put this game to bed? And instead you let it roll to the goalkeeper so he can rush it out and try and get an equaliser. But thank God we rode the storm. And I knew our defence was going to be critical today. I knew Lincoln were going to be a tough opponent today because the defence was going to be absolutely critical today. And we rode the storm. Balcombe, world class. Butler, Anderson, world class. Wright did good. John did good. James and Smith in the midfield, amazing. Richards at the cam, unstoppable. Simio's on the wing, did good. Halliday on the wing, did good. Okunabiri up front, did good. So overall, I think if we're picking out 2 or 3 standout players, I'd be picking out Butler, Richards and Balcombe. And that's, you know, overall. Tom Anderson's a bonus option, but he's the captain, so we knew he could do well anyway. But Butler put in a great shift, as did Anderson. Richards did great, and Balcombe was world class, and you know who my man of the match is going to be. But let's go into the player ratings then, before we get into what we need to do against Oxford next Saturday. We do have a full week now until the next game. Don't forget, tomorrow though, we're going to be releasing the first in a brand new series on the channel called Post-Match Responses. So we're going to have Darren Moore's response, the player's response, in that full video tomorrow. So stay tuned for that one, guys. But let's go through player ratings before we talk about what we need to do against Oxford on Saturday next week. So starting off with Balcombe, I'm going to give this guy a 9. He gets my man of the match for the performance. And comment down below if you think Balcombe was man of the match. Yes, he gave away a penalty. Yes, there was a few chances. But I tell you what, he saved them all. He saved both penalties. And in my opinion, that is what a world-class goalkeeper does. He atones for his errors. He distributes well, which he did for most of the game. There was a couple of moments, maybe not, but most of the game, distributed well, world-class saves, kept it a clean sheet against the Lincoln team that could have easily scored 3 or 4 or 5 if they were on target. So, you know, overall, I can't congratulate Balcombe enough. He's an absolute god today. Absolute god. 9 out of 10. He was just missing that 10 out of 10. Maybe if he didn't concede one of the penalties, or both the penalties, maybe it would have been a 10 out of 10. Well, no, if he didn't concede his penalty, it would have been a 10 out of 10. Not both penalties, obviously, because, you know, Reece James was the fault for the first penalty. But if Balcombe didn't concede his penalty, even though he saved it, I think it would have been a 10 out of 10. So, replace it with a normal save, like a normal world-class save. But, yeah, it's a 9 out of 10 just because he conceded the penalty anyway. Joe Wright, I'm going to give him a 7 for this performance. I think that overall, defensively was well. Blocked quite well, but he gets caught up the pitch, so he needs to improve on that if he's going to play in that full-back position. But again, like the 1-0 win at the Keepmoat against Lincoln, he played in the right-back position and got the 3 points as a team. So brilliant performance. Anderson, I'm going to give it an 8. Anderson gets an 8, 100%. Really good defensive performance. Held his line well, captained the side well. Tom Anderson is the perfect guy to replace Ben Whiteman as captain. 110%. Andy Butler, I think, was captain in the second half. I could be wrong, but I did hear something on the commentary, but you don't know, do you? Butler, though, I'm going to give him an 8. Again, strong performance from Butler. Defensively did well, got up for everything, put himself on the line from everything, got a boot in the face for a free kick in the first half, I think it was. So overall, you know, Butler did weather the storm in this game, but overall, not got any problems with him. Cameron John gets a 7. I'm going to put that point across again. He's not a left-back, but he's having to fill that slot in just while Reece James plays in the midfield. But I tell you something now, there's qualities about him that's great. If he's going to be a permanent left-back and fully transition into a left-back rather than no centre-back at all, then he's going to have to learn to not get caught up the pitch. He's going to have to learn to have that attacking threat, but have the speed to get back in position and don't leave open gaps and don't go out of position a lot and get caught out of position a lot, as well as caught up the pitch. But overall, good performance. Reece James gets a 7 in the midfield as well. Reece James did really, really well today, but he gets a 7 from me. Played well, did some nice passing. You know, played the midfield quite well, directed the play. Same with Matt Smith, 7 again. He was our man of the match for the last game against Wimbledon, but overall in the game, he wasn't the man of the match today, but I think overall, Reece James and Matt Smith have a good midfield partnership. And hopefully when Reece James moves back to left-back and the likes of Bostock comes in, Robertson has some games on loan from Celtic, and we have that kind of play, then hopefully, fingers crossed, we do have those midfield options that's going to keep the partnerships alive. And for Reece James, though, I think he's been really well today. Same with Matt Smith. So hopefully Matt Smith gets the partner, out and out midfield partner he deserves, because I think both of them played really well in the midfield, and it shows this versatile horses for courses technique is really working, and the fact that Moore trusts his players that much, it's amazing. It's really, really amazing to see. In the attack, starting off on the left wing, Simios. I'm going to give him a 7 today. Overall, technical ability, spot on. Doing step overs, trying to get round people. He did give the ball away a lot. That's something we've got to work on with him. But overall, he needed to come off for the kilo, and I think that overall Simios did all right. Nothing too special, but all right. He didn't, it wasn't costly, thank God. On the right wing, Halliday, I'm going to give him a 7 as well. Again, Halliday gave the ball away a few times, but overall had that attacking intent. He wanted to go forward. He wanted to do the duties. There was a couple of times where I thought he stepped back into that right-back position and helped Joe Wright a bit, but that's good, to see that. But overall, stuck to his position for most of the game, and overall did very, very well. Richards at cam, got to be an 8. Absolutely 100% got to be an 8. I think that Richards, again, just proves exactly how good this guy is. How amazing this guy is. And it's going to be so hard to keep him on a permanent deal next season if we get promoted. It's going to be a very hard one, because there's going to be a lot of people after him. But we've just shown since he's come into this club, we've shown nothing but his best. There was a couple of times this season where maybe he sort of dipped a little bit, but for nearly all of this season when he's come on to this club, he's shown he is the Mesut Ozil of this team, the Kevin De Bruyne of this team. And he's absolutely bossed it again today. Not man of the match performance, but very, very close, as is Butler and Anderson. And then Okunabiri, finally from the starting 11, I'm going to give him a 7. Overall, again, nothing to shout about in the second half, but the first half, bossed the forward position, got forward quite a lot, got in a couple of times, but overall, just an alright performance. Finally, going into the substitutes bench, let's go for it. So, Gomez, Lakilo and Taylor were the substitutes. Taylor came on for Okunabiri for the last couple of minutes, didn't do much, so I'm going to give him an average 5, because he didn't really, show much. So again, the average rating is probably the best way to go. Lakilo replacing Simios, I'm going to give him a 6. Didn't show too much in the game, but overall did quite well. And then finally, Richards coming off. Again, I might not agree with that substitution, but Gomez was brilliant. I'm going to give him a 7. He was out of the 3 substitutes, he was the best of the substitutes today by a landslide, absolute landslide. And it could be to do with the fact that Taylor didn't have much game time compared to Lakilo and Gomez. Lakilo was good, but Gomez was the best of the substitutes in my opinion. 7 out of 10, all over the pitch, pressed them, was in the Lincoln players' pockets, and overall just pressing wise and attacking wise just saw them out completely. So there we go. So that's your player ratings. Now, what do we need to do finally to end the video against Oxford? Literally just play like that. Literally, I think we're not expecting a smash and grab with Oxford. I think they're still going to attack, they're still going to be dangerous, but we're not expecting a smash and grab. We're expecting to just go for it and just, try and get a couple of goals out of them. Because Oxford, they might be rising up the table, but they're not the toughest opposition. Every opposition's a cup final for us to get to if we want the title. But Oxford aren't the toughest opposition in the league. Let's be perfectly honest. Oxford are going to be tough, but they're not the toughest. And it's up to us to make them not look tough. It's up to us as Rovers to make sure it's not a tough game. We don't want to put any more pressure on ourselves, so we can't give the ball away. We can't get caught up the pitch if Wright and John are starting in the fullback positions again. We can't get caught up the pitch, even when it's different fullbacks, even if it is James and Halliday at left and right back, respectively. We can't get caught up the pitch. We can't get caught out of position too much. And, that defensive showing, put as much momentum in that defensive and the attacking showing as we did in that game, and we'll walk with it. So, loads of, a couple of negatives here and there to sort of take into the next games, but I'll tell you something now, the positives are soaring from this team. Great attacking intent, we pressed when we needed to, and the defensive outshowing was Premier League standard. I said it in my tweet. The defending was Premier League quality. Absolutely Premier League quality. And overall, I'm very happy. So thank you guys so much for watching this match review. Stay tuned tomorrow for the post-match responses series to begin with more on the players' response to the Lincoln win. And for now, guys, my name is Aaron Chandler from Forever Football. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. And that, my friends, is full time. Rovers till I die. Come on! Let's get the title. Rovers till I die! Rovers